It's orchid show season again, and what's going to stop us from saying, I want that one? Nothing, except perhaps if we go through to see what we've got in flower already, just to make sure we're not buying something similar to what we have already. Because let's face it, when we're at those shows, the fever sets in and we just want them all. Already we have just over 1,000 orchids, and it does become quite a bit to manage. So let's try not add things that are the same as what we have. I think that's a good idea. So let's quickly go through and see what's in flower today. Let's start with what's right in front of us. This crystal clear, pure white of Cattleya lobata variation alba. This used to be known as Laelia lobata, but with all those nomenclature changes that happen all the time, it's now a Cattleya. This one has already started flowering. We're in middle of winter now, and they're generally spring flowering. And that's not to say I don't have a lot of sheaths that are opening up, or not opening up, but starting on a lot of these new growths or the semi-mature growths. So those will produce those flowers in spring and early summer that we generally would expect from this. But this beautiful white with a little bit of softest yellow in the throat, this white for me is one of the clearest, most white, does it make sense, of all the orchids. This is really one of my favorite whites. Also, the one thing about this orchid is that is as tough as old nails. Even those cultural mishaps that happen occasionally, still you'll end up getting a flower out of it. It really is one of those reliable flowering orchids. Also, as opposed to a lot of other Cattleyas where the flowers are only going to last 2 weeks or so, this one you'll get at least a month out of, which is just breathtaking, just breathtaking. Let's move on to this baby here. This is the one that we've probably had the most comments about and the most requests for the name. This is Leliantha Meadow Gold. By the seams of it, it's not that easy to get hold of at the moment. It probably is because it's a primary hybrid and they first started them back in the 50s or something, so perhaps it's gone out of fashion, people looking for bigger flowers, stronger colors or whatever. But this really is really special to us. It's got the most amazing scent to it. It's not that sweet scent that you generally expect from blooms, but it is a really beautiful scent, especially if you're growing indoors here. It's not that super sweetness that like some of those collagenase give that almost smells like cat piss. This just gives a beautiful all-round scent. And these beautiful they almost start off as a buttercup yellow with this deep maroon veining in the lip, really, and the amount of flowers that it gets. Also, one of those tough plants. A lot of the Laelias and the Laelia intergeneric hybrids really are so forgiving as well. As long as you give them light, that's important. They're going to need lots of light. Also, the Cattleya lobata also can take more light than a lot of other Cattleyas. Stunning. Leliantha Meadow Gold. It's coming a little bit over now, but then it has been over a month already that it's been in flower. So we'll show you some pictures of it while it was at its best and not with these dying flowers now. And then this exquisite one, this bright orange with this red lip. This is like a standout anywhere. It's just like glowing fire. This is Cattleya rubencito. The one reason that I remember the name is because of the red is a ruby and rubencito. Well, that makes sense to me anyway. But this flower, whenever it is in flower, everyone will stop and look at it. Everyone. And also, if you start noticing, one of the reasons that one of my favorite orchids are the Gorianthas, and you'll notice what happens with a lot of these intergeneric hybrids. They're hybridized with the Gorianthas. See, like the Catleantha, the Leliantha, they all have some of that Goriantha in them. And here we go again, another Catleantha. This is Catleantha Kalahari Sunset. And with these colors, you can tell exactly that it has got all those beautiful sunset colors that you'd see in the Kalahari. All those beautiful sort of burning pinks, sort of oranges toning down to yellows. This is also one of the ones that Duckett Farms or Duckett Orchids has hybridized. This is one of the South African registered hybrids. And really, I don't see many people with this one, and I don't know why. To me, this is one of the most beautiful colors. It really is one of the most stunning colored orchids I've seen. And talking about stunning, look who we have here. Also something no one will miss when they walk in. This is Rin Catleantha Shin Fong. This is Rin Catleantha Shin Fong, Little Sun, Young Min Golden Boy, also known as RTH Golden Boy. And this deep, strong orange with that red on the inside of the lip, and also the shape of the flower. It's sort of broad, open. Although they are a miniature, they really do produce a big head of flowers, and also those beautiful open flowers. It really shows off that color well. And we can see how well that it does flower. Also, again, with that Goriantha in it. Go figure. Just please don't look at these aphids on the flowers, because the reason that they're there is so I can show you a treatment video. And shame, my poor plants have to deal with a lot the way I treat them to get new videos out of them. And then there's this beautiful baby with these softest of colors. This is Rhyncholalia Cattleya Portage Glacier Sunset. The reason it's the sunset one is because it starts to get this blush of pink to it. So it's got that like almost soft yellowness, creaminess to the petals and sepals, and then it gets that blush pink, generally from the edges towards the center of the petals. And then with that softest yellow on the inside of the lip or the throat, and then that beautiful little spot. They don't always have that little deep spot on the lip, but when you get one with it, you're lucky. Sometimes it's a little bit more stretched across the base here, but personally, this is my favorite because it's mine. And of course, Sarcopsis mariposa. This, once you start getting it to flower, just keeps on going and going and going. You'll get a flower, then perhaps a month's rest, and then another flower, and then a month's rest, and you're going to land up with flowers forever and ever and a day. The only problem then comes is when do you repot it? Because this is in such bad need of repotting. So perhaps I'll wait for this set of the 3 flowers to be over and then repot, and hopefully not cause too much trauma to the plant that these flower spikes can keep going without being set back too far. But we really need to open this out so that these new pseudobulbs can mature properly and then produce their flower spikes too. These flower spikes can last for years and years and years and years. So I don't know why you don't have one yet. What else do I have inside? Let's have a look. Nothing too spectacular, but I'm actually surprised that this baby's flowering, because also these Phalaenopsis, what we put them through is another story. We actually torture them, we're nasty to them, we're horrible to them, and all in the name of making videos on them for YouTube. So it's Guantanamo Bay is calling, let me just put it that way. So, but these vein flowers are just spectacular. There's Phalaenopsis, it doesn't matter how common they are. I don't know, what can you say about them? They just always are and always will be beautiful. It doesn't matter how many you have or what stress you put them under all the time, they're still going to bless you. And Dendrochilum glumaceum, we had done a video on this just recently on dividing and repotting, and he still reflowered at this time for me. I should have taken video of him while he was in full flower, but he's just over now, the last few blooms just ending at the end of them. But then again, not called Dendrochilum anymore. So remember, Dendrochilum glumaceum became Coelogene glumacea. So it's just done, and now that's all I have inside. So let's go outside and see what we have in bloom there. Here we have Dendrobium fimbriatum variation oculatum, but his flowers did open a little bit early, a little bit of cold snaps and things, just causing these lips to sort of mutate, or just not really mutate, just not form properly. So a little bit too early, but look at all these buds that we have coming. All over the show, all over the plant. All coming up for our spring show. Well, not for us to show it spring, but for it to show us its glory in spring, should we put it that way. Of course, the aloe is in full flower at this time of year. And I can't wait to show you all of this. This is Myrmecophylla tibicinus, and that's going to come into flower sort of mid-springish, I presume, by the length of the flower spikes already. So that's a little way away still. And then we'll do a whole video on its culture and everything. So that's coming up soon enough. We'll do it when it's all in full flower. There's our Dendrobium nobles starting to produce their blooms. Oopsie, those look like they might turn into kikis. No, I think they're going to be flower buds. Well, there's some buds there anyway. There's some more buds, some kikis. There's some buds and some kikis, so it looks like we're going to get a mix this year. And our Ancelia africana starting to produce those little flower sparks up there. So we're going to get some nice flowers out of that this year too. And then, of course, our Dendrobium speciosum that we'd just done the video on, just finishing flowering. I've got the two other ones as well. I've seen some nice little flower spikes coming off the top of them, just those tiny little budlets starting at the top before the flower spike starts protruding. So those are going to be flowering a little bit later on, probably mid-spring is when we'll get those. And then we have this Vanda. Does that make me look pretty? But this color is really beautiful. It's like this almost soft lilac-y pink. This one's just done. It was a much brighter pink than the little lilac-y one. But that's all finished flowering now. So what else do we have? We have this, it's white with this almost soft purple blush to it. These are all hybrids that we brought in from Thailand. Most of them are unnamed. So it's just they produce so many different varieties of them continually that often they won't name them until they feel that they have enough stock of it or something, and then they'll start producing names. But often they don't even have the parents' names any longer because they're just continually mixing up. The Papilionantha, Miss Jo Quinn, all just about over now. But all these buds on the ends. And Papilionantha teres alba. But also all these buds everywhere. It's just we are a little bit cold at the moment. We do get those cold snaps that sort of knock off these buds. So we'll go down to sometimes, if it's a really, really cold night, down to 2 degrees, but that's very occasionally. And we can have days that are only get to 8 or 9 degrees during the day. And we had one of those just recently, so that's probably what smashed all of these buds before they could develop. And then, of course, all our crucifix orchids, these epidendrums. Lots of different colors of those. But then those are in flower all year round. So I can't say, oh, look what I got in flower now. They're always in flower. Our Myrmecocatlia Memoria Louise Fuchs just finished flowering now. Outside here, as opposed to indoors, is the other one. They lasted, I'd say at least a full month out here compared to being indoors. Indoors, they died off so quick, but outside here, it must have been over 4 weeks. It must have been just over 4 weeks that they lasted. So, and then the Spathoglottis. These babies, as long as you're giving them enough sun and enough food and enough water, although remember they need really, really good drainage, they're just going to keep flowering and flowering and flowering. So, and these flower spikes last for such a long time. They get all these little buds in the middle, and they just keep opening and opening and opening. So, and still, even that, these flowers, once they open, do last a very long time. All our different colors. See, here's some dead sparks, but we'll probably be getting some more sparks coming up pretty soon anyway. Some more of those epidendrums. Another Spathoglotis. A new spark that's come up that's started to open already. A little bit chewed and eaten by a few things, but oh, and I nearly forgot. This is our white epidendrum. This one starts off white, and then as the flowers age, they get this little bit of a purple tinge to them. There we go, another flower spark coming here. So now that we moved across here, we're giving it more sun, more warmth, and it seems to be growing a lot better. There we go, and there's another beautiful two-tone semi-terete vanda. As I said, most of these we don't have names for. They were just bought as production stock from Thailand. Most of them were just bare root cuttings, not even mature enough to flower yet. So there we go. That beautiful deep redness to the lip is actually quite stunning, especially with that like creamy yellowness, like that custard yellow almost, with this beautiful pink spots. It's stunning. What else do we have? Another one of these Spathoglotis. A lot of these Spathoglotis are actual intergeneric, not intergeneric, or interspecific hybrids. So I can't really tell whether it's plicata or what it is, because often they interbred. And there we go, more of those epidendrums just plastered on these old railway sleepers, that's what those are, and just allowed to grow out here in the full sun, just to their own devices, really. Oopsie. Look how big these are already. Oh, these are going to open so soon. This one always opens up its blooms earlier than the rest of our Dendrobium nobles, so it's possibly an interspecific hybrid as well. So we're not sure which one. I'll have to wait till it opens and see whether I can identify it again. I keep forgetting all these things, especially when I put them outside. Impossible to keep the labels. So well, I probably cheated there a bit there. I showed you what was coming into flower as well as what was in flower. But at least this helps us give an idea of what we mustn't buy when we go to those orchid shows. Still not going to stop us really, is it? But what can we do? Orchid addiction is never cured. If you have seen anything that you know the name of that I may have missed out on, please drop it in the comments box below. Then I can make sure that I update my list. And also remember, if you need any cultural information on any of these orchids, Ed posts up a lot of information in that Buy Me a Coffee link there all the time that is available to everyone. So be sure to go down there, have a look, and don't be shy. Sign up, become a member, and grow like a pro. And thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.